But then that's when the security detail came and escorted us away to stay this far away from the protesters, away from where you can see the line of Trump supporters. JC and Izzy tell me they will be at the city council meeting tonight talking about the aggressive panhandling ordinances. I'm in the drive-thru of a Dutch Bros over by the Northgate Shopping Center, the Rogue Valley Mall, and with Arlene Wedstead with MDA. The district has one principal for both Mount Shasta Elementary and Sisson Middle School, but they say instructional leadership isn't happening in two places at the same time. Test scores have dropped. So by consolidating both schools, the district hopes to solve both budget and academic problems. All right, let's take the snap. It's good. And you know what else is good? Friday Night Football on News 10. We'll see you here tonight. I didn't see protesters around the whole block, not like other earlier events where Donald Trump has visited. Most of his students are minors, and some of them are still in gangs. But he says if they truly discipline themselves in boxing, they can change their lives for the better. At a three-way stop, cars, look at that. Can you hear that? This car right there having a tough time turning on that curb. There's ice on the roads. Well, Seahawks fans devastated after a call made by Coach Pete Carroll costing them the game. We asked you, our News 10 Facebook fans, what you think Carroll chose to pass the ball rather than hand it off to Marshawn Lynch. Well, Bonnie posts because everyone was tired of hearing Brady cry and whine. But Andrew says because Lynch was only there, so he didn't get fined. Good evening, I'm Dave Rurange. Thanks for joining us. A Medford man is behind bars tonight facing charges that include threatening the President of the United States. And hey, Scott, before we let you go, I know it's late out there, just after 2 in the morning, and we are your last live hit after talking to stations across the country. At this point, what do you think is the consensus of really who won tonight's debate? And hear the truth. All right. So what is the truth? As far as, you know, the GOP, now Trump is the presumptive GOP presidential nominee. How do you think he's going to bring the party together? New at 11, Medford welcomed its first visit from a 2016 presidential candidate, John Kasich. News 10's Justin Matthews sat down with Kasich about his campaign stop in Southern Oregon. Kasich is now continuing its West Coast presidential campaign to California. Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders held a campaign rally in Springfield's Island Park this afternoon. His main topics today were universal health care, higher taxes on the wealthy and corporations, and abortion. Panhandling and sleeping outside has been a long-time tune for Izzy Wallace and JC Romero.
I sit here most of the day, just flying my sign, saying hi to people.
Izzy and JC roll to different spots in downtown Ashland to be spotted some cash.
Ain't much, but I'll buy you a coffee. How about
Praise Yahweh, brother. Be safe.
JC says he has no felonies, but has been arrested for shoplifting and for disorderly conduct.
So we started fighting. He slammed me on the ground and I fractured my knee.
Such is the life he chooses to live, a routine of panhandling,
Blessed. Thank you for asking.
playing video games in a shelter, and finding a place to sleep where the police won't see him. He has been seen at city council meetings and a homeless forum.
These ordinances that target just one group of people need to stop immediately before it destroys our community.
He's talking about ordinances the council says addresses downtown behavior issues that plagued the city last summer. They plan to prevent it this summer. Here's how. People cannot ask for money from people eating at an outdoor restaurant, near an ATM, or in a car.
We've seen an increase in this aggressive behavior. It's been happening for years.
Students were literally jumped on. Somebody piggybacked, and jumping on a student as they're walking by.
Bob Hackett is the marketing manager for the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. Catherine Cato is the director of the Ashland Chamber Visitor and Convention Bureau. They support the new ordinances and say it's about behavior, not about labeling the kind of people who would behave badly.
So everyone has a freedom of speech, and therefore panhandling is held under that. But aggressive panhandling is where that line is drawn, and so that's why we focus again on the behavior.
Increased police presence is something City Councilor Stephanie Seffinger wants. She says she's had a couple of experiences of getting blocked in her path and threatened for not giving money.
4 men walked up toward me, and one of them looked at me and said, "I know who you are, and I want you dead." And then as they were walking by, they started hurling different obscenities at me as they walked.
City leaders are looking at 4 tactics to prevent bad behavior in downtown areas. That includes hiring 4 more police cadets or a contract with the Social Service Agency for street outreach workers. Lee Madsen tries to give the homeless opportunities to leave poverty behind at the Ashland Community Resource Center.
But we shouldn't be penalizing a whole group of people because one person in that group does something we don't like.
Madsen says he empathizes with people who have been intimidated, and he does not have a solution for it.
And I'm not the only one. I hear other homeless people around town talking about all these ordinances. And whether they're doing it to target the homeless or not, that's who it's targeting. And when we feel targeted, we get angry. And then nobody feels safe.
2 different economies trying to find harmony before more people travel to Ashland this spring and summer.
Medford Parks and Recreation is introducing co-ed bubble indoor soccer, more widely known as knockerball, because let's face it, how much soccer is really happening?
It's a little different because they're just mostly trying to bump each other instead of playing the ball.
The city's recreation supervisors got feedback from these volunteer players for a sort of test match.
You just see people going towards you and you don't know if it's going to hurt or not, but it doesn't hurt, it's just scary.
There are rules to the game, like you cannot bump someone without the intent of gaining possession of the ball, or without the intent to clear the path of the ball to the goal. That intent is determined by one referee.
How about watching from the inside?
Each knocker ball weighs nearly 25 pounds and costs more than $200.
All right, think I'm ready to go.
I quickly learned to prioritize a sense of feeling rather than sight. With no boundaries, players interacted with the audience.
You okay?
8-year-old Owen Howard eventually told me he was okay. His father confirmed that. He was the guy who knocked me into Owen. Parks and Rec says it may be getting fences and other ways to modify the game for safety. Bubble indoor soccer is played in 4 8-minute quarters.
There were some big guys that she was taking on, and she put a few of them on their back, so it was cool.
Covering your news in Medford, Dave de Rurange, News 10.